and McConnell kind of made a face and didn't respond.
O'Connell. You said McConnell.
Did I say McConnell? Why do I have McConnell? I wrote McConnell on the show sheet too. Who is McConnell?
There's no such name.
Talk about who the fuck is that guy, huh?
Who the fuck is that guy? I'm like, who the fuck is McConnell?
That zany Canadian host, huh? Sights and sounds and edges found. You will now get down with the Underground. Posted up on the OTC Fantasy YouTube channel and your favorite audio platform. Dynasty Underground is back, and we missed you. I am Trav hosting and West coasting, and wouldn't you know it, we got Jax Falcone, of course, and Jax, we will get to you, sir. But Joe is in the motherland picking olives. Might be practicing some Greco wrestling with some dudes on the beach. We don't know what he's doing out there. But we have our first guest. For him. Yeah, it's not practice for him. Yeah, that's old hat. We have our first guest, Jax. And I almost
is he a guest?
That's what I'm thinking, right? I almost don't know if I consider him a guest, because if you have entered the OTC ecosystem, you know who this man is and you love him. We got Kerty joining the show in place of Jax, and we couldn't be more stoked about it. Kurt Dog, how are you doing? Welcome to the Underground.
Thank you for that intro, and I am doing fabulous on this evening here to record with both of you. Looking forward to the show, and I really hope Joe is enjoying himself on his vacation. Like, he deserves it, and I think in his honor, there's some merch coming up for him.
Oof, is there ever? Is there ever? Hey, I just wanted to do the Conor McGregor, not the thing where he breaks his knee in the first kick, but the one where he goes, who the fuck is this guy? You know what I mean? When Kerty comes on, he's like, got people just like, if they don't know him yet, they're like, who the fuck is this guy? Yeah. But this guy's OG Kerty. He's the man. Absolutely love him. Doing some awesome stuff for us at OTC. And just doing some awesome stuff for himself, and for the listeners. He's got a cool little following starting, and he's just more of our community ambassador, and does some live streams, and he's got a show coming out, and just an all around awesome guy. I can tell you firsthand, we met by doing a pro-am together. That's how I met Kerty. He was donating to a charity and all that sort of awesome stuff that made him an awesome guy. But I drafted alongside of him, and we got unlucky, Kerty, in that league. We got unlucky, but your process was sound. And I remember when we would discuss process, that was when I was most impressed. Obviously, the picks can go south in any redraft that you ever do. But I remember thinking, this guy really knows what he's doing in way of process. And that's what wins over time. So Kerty's a winning player for those reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why we're stoked that he is a part of the fabric of OTC Fantasy. And Kerty, yes, you mentioned it. Actually, we've got some new merch designs out, and I'm excited to share it with the people. We just kind of had we want to start doing some more regular merch drops to have some stuff that kind of is signature OTC, and I think we've done that with this merch drop. Shout out to Dukes for most of the designs. He does all of that work, and he is top notch at it. And we got some new collections out there. So you'll see we got the OTC Classics. Kerty's got one of the hats on right now if you're watching on YouTube. And then we got a couple new collections. So if you listen to Underground, you know about the pineapple bit with Joe and his foray to Vegas, almost getting caught on the wrong side of a little swinger situation. That now can be memorialized in merch. So you'll see the pineapple swingers collection on the shop. Yes. You'll also see the Barry McLaughliner section. So Duke's designed a little mascot for us. He's got he's like a little football player with the old time helmet and the clock face. We have dubbed him Barry McLaughliner. So you can find the Barry McLaughliner collection. We got some accessories on there too. So go check it out. We're running a giveaway. The details can be found on our social media platforms. So go check it out there, and whichever platform you're following us on, follow those steps and you'll be entered in a draw to win.
By the way, the hat with the upside down word pineapple, it's sort of a black with the gray hat and the black lettering, upside down word pineapple, is a dope looking hat. And I will be buying that, of course, and I'll be wearing it on the show. And I would just say that I think a lot of y'all would want this hat and want to wear this hat. And I think the best thing about this hat for sure is that there's only 2 people that could recognize anything about this hat. There's only 2 types of people. One would be someone who knows the show, and that would be amazing if somehow or another you were wearing this upside down pineapple word hat out in the world and someone was like, yo, Kuvatakis or something, dropped a fucking Joe Quave on your ass. That would be amazing. The only other person would be an interesting foray into some sort of evening of romance with another couple. So I think either way it's win-win.
Yeah, for sure. There's a couple limited time items on there as well. And that draw that I mentioned, for what you're getting with that actually is you're getting 20% off of an order over $100. But not only that, you're getting a free year subscription to OTCFFB.com, which is a $100 value. So a really cool little thing we got going on. We wanted to kind of bring some attention to the fun merch that we've got. And of course, get some more people checking out the site. So check out our socials. You can find all the details there. But we got to get into it, boys. We got Kerty on to talk about some banger fantasy takes, and that's just what we're going to do tonight. We're going to be talking about storylines to monitor through training camp, fellas. So kind of an important time of Dynasty season, because this is where we're kind of seeing how those long shots that we've been calling are coming through the debris of their depth charts. We're looking at some of those injured vets who might be coming back from injury, who maybe have had some additions to that team at their position group. So we're going to talk about a bunch of that stuff tonight, guys, and I'm excited to get into it with you guys. Really quick, I just want to mention some dates here. Rookies do report to training camp, so I think it's important to kind of get it out as far as timeline. This show should be out about the 16th or 17th, so rookies report on the 17th. I think that's the earliest date they can report. Not every team's rookies report that day. And then veterans generally report July 24th and 28th, or between that range. Right around the corner, guys, on August 6th, about 3 weeks away, is when the preseason begins with the Hall of Fame game. So it is heating up for us here, guys. And I think it's important for us to dig into the weeds of some of these NFL teams. But I wanted to start with kind of an overall conversation about what our listeners should do as they go into training camp. And we're hearing all of this news, all of this hype. We've got these players that we like. Maybe the heartstrings are being tugged a little bit. Kerty, why don't we start with you as our not-so guest? Are there any rules that you would tell the listeners to follow as far as what to do with this training camp hype, maybe acting on it or not acting on it, and how you maybe approach that stuff every offseason?
That's a really good question, and I think it just boils down to how you want a dynasty. Jax alluded to it in the beginning of the show, talking about process. So if you play by process, it's my process to not overreact to training camp hype. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Like, I don't know, Carnell Tate makes a one-handed catch over the middle, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, he's the best wide receiver ever. Like, put him on the block. Send out some trades using the OTC app, I would not be buying unless it just depends on the news, but don't overreact. Stay in your seats. Real football with actual pads, not shorts on, gets played in September. So do what's best for your roster before week one.
I can't help but think of the I almost said Riley Ridley, which would have been the same thing, but Calvin Ridley, same difference. There's no difference. But Calvin Ridley from last year, when he was running some routes and stuff and was like doing all the routes in shorts, and someone was like, kid's got to eat this year. I'm like, he may or may not, he certainly didn't, but that was not a signification of him going to be good or not. This is the worst possible thing that you can take action on in terms of buying that hype. If you want to sell on that hype, that was an unbelievable sell window for Calvin Ridley when he did absolutely nothing of meaning whatsoever, except somehow his clip of running a little slant got put on the internet and people jerked off to it. That was like literally how crazy it is that's what took the Calvin Ridley bump up, and it makes no sense. So look out for those opportunities in Dynasty. I would say you should be selling on every last single one of them. So yeah, for me, obviously don't buy on that type of hype. The type of hype that I do think is important, and we're going to get to some of it today, I know you probably later in the show, Trav, but is the type of drumbeat stuff. The Puka Nacua drumbeat was obvious. I mean, I didn't even draft a bunch of Puka Nacua his rookie year. I did some, but it was the drumbeat. I was like, wait a second. This is something here. You almost want to see the water boiling. You don't want to see it, right? This is what you're looking for. Like, ooh, are those bubbles? You want to hear it slowly start to roll forward. And, Coach X said this. And all of a sudden he's playing in some 2 wide receiver sets. And that's the type of thing that you can start to glean and take action on. We're not there yet, but when we start to see that, that's what I'm paying attention to.
Mm-hmm. And I think the difference between that, Jax, is the drumbeat is often coming from within the organization, whereas the hype train is often coming from outside, right? So some guy took his phone out on the sideline and took a video of receiver X making a one-handed grab when his quarterback threw a 50% floater to him. And that's what everybody gets hyped about. But what you got to do is, and the drumbeat, you kind of follow it a little bit more than kind of act on it right away, right? You kind of follow how it's tracking before it starts to ascend is when you really act on it. Probably like the first couple of weeks of training camp isn't the time to do that necessarily, unless signs through the off season have been leading that drumbeat up. But I think it's an interesting time for that because, if I'm doing anything, I'm mostly selling some of these veteran players because often that drumbeat is on the young guys, right? Jax, you mentioned Puka Nacua when he was younger. It's usually on the young guys coming up and clearing some of that depth chart debris. So I think it's good.
I'll give you this. I'll give you this, Trav. Like, you think about just any rookie class ever. You think about where you had them ranked and or even the ADP. You don't even have to talk about rankings. Just talk about either your rankings or ADP the moment that you did your rookie draft. Freeze it in time, and then at the very start of the season before a game is played, they're different. And then if you take that and just fast forward it literally 1 week, after 1 week's games, it's all different again. And if you fast forward to the end of the season, it's different again. So the point of the matter is that even if you're right, you're wrong, because it's going to be changing and there's going to be things that happen. The key that I think there is, I just want to be ahead of it a little bit. Like, I want to trade on yesterday's values and win on tomorrow's values, right? That's really the way I'm trying to think of it. And like, I've got a bunch of players we'll talk about, but like, I'll give an example so that the listener can understand it. I'll steal from myself. Carson Beck, I drafted him a couple times in like the early second of Dynasty rookie drafts, and it felt expensive. And I was like, maybe I'll back off. And I backed off and I missed him a few times, even in the third. So sometimes I drafted him in the second, I missed him in the third. I wasn't really sure where to place Carson Beck's value. Well, it ended up being third round, late third round for the most part, even, right? Seldom in the second round. I think that's wrong. I think he's more valuable than that. And I'm not sure. I think the value's actually gone there a little bit now. It may be harder to get him in some situations. I'm not suggesting that Carson Beck is going to be some world beater. I'm just suggesting that his value is sort of correcting itself, and I'd rather sell or sort of transact on the old value and reap the reward of the new value of a player like that.
The context of Carson Beck, too, falls within this rookie class. Like a normal rookie class, I don't think you want to take the quarterback taken in the third round where you've been taking him, just because what else are you going to take there?
Yeah.
That's the other thing that plays into it for Carson Beck too.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. The cost is really nice on Carson Beck, and we will definitely get there, boys. I think that's a pretty good wrap, though, as far as not reacting too much to the hype. Follow that drumbeat, but only when it's from inside the organization. And for those kind of veteran guys, when we're hearing things, we're probably looking to sell off of hype as opposed to buy off of hype more than anything. So that's a good wrap, boys. I think the first I was ambitious on this show sheet, boys. I have been on Dynasty Underground before, but I put like 4 different little segments. So we'll see where we get here. We're going to talk about some quarterback competitions. And the reason why I wanted to start with this, guys, is because I think it flows nicely into conversations about some of these other guys, right? Because the quarterback is so impactful. Easy for me to talk tonight. Hey, Jax, but been 2 weeks off, man. Been 2 weeks off. It's been used very well for all of the OTC stuff that we've been doing in the back end, but maybe we're a little rusty on the host mic, but
don't worry, I got you. I'm firing on all cylinders.
These quarterbacks.
As you know, I was listening to Method Man right before I came on.
You were,
it's
yeah.
True.
You were.
So.
Yeah, METHOD.
I'm ready.
Man. Yeah, lots to talk about here with the quarterback, so we're going to get into it. It's going alphabetical today, boys, and we're going to start with the Atlanta Falcons. So obviously we know that they brought in Tua Tagovailoa, of course. Michael Penix has been rehabbing an injury, but looks like he's getting in the area of being ready to go for that competition. So, Kerty, what do you think about the Tua Penix conversation? Do you have a lean or any of these guys who you like to roster?
Tua Penix conversation. Two Penixes. This one's been fun because one, they're both left-handed, which I think is hilarious, and two, like Kevin Stefanski coming in, I liked him as a play caller. I think he did really well with Cleveland. Like he took Cleveland Browns to the playoffs, won Coach of the Year twice, and never really had much to work with. So now he's got Bijan, London, Pitts. We'll see if it's Jahan Dotson or Zachariah Branch, maybe Olamide Zaccheaus. Easy for me to say. But I think Tua is going to win the starting job. I think Kevin Stefanski likes to play a little more under center, and Penix was pretty much strictly from the shotgun from what I recall last year. And I think that opens up more play action, more options to get those weapons involved. If it's Penix, it's fine for those London shares that we have because he just hyper targets him. He did that last year, and I hope he could just stay healthy if it's him. Poor guy's gone through more ACLs than I can count. So
yeah, I think if you're looking, if I'm handicapping the Penix Tua situation, I'm probably just splitting it. I would just say they're probably gonna each start 8 games or something, but that probably won't be the way it ends up. So you could win on the bet with one of them somehow. I think Penix is the one that they'd rather see be awesome. Like if they could pick, a guy that they want to succeed, it would be Penix. So I think that might lead them in that direction, especially if and or when, Tua struggles, or God bless him if he gets hurt. I really hope he doesn't have another concussion, but but it certainly is in the cards potentially. I think, Tua is probably better for efficiency. Penix is better for that downfield play of London and Pitts. And, it's splitting hairs there at that point. Obviously, Bijan's an absolute monster. So I really don't think there's a huge difference. I think maybe a little bit more volume with Tua, a little bit more, downfield stuff with Penix. And other than that, maybe one of them will actually take a step forward in this system. As, Kerty points out that, they're going to get the best coaching maybe they've ever had. Tua had Mike McDaniel as an offensive coordinator. It's probably ridiculous. We'll see. He was successful in that offense too. Yeah. So I think look, Tua at one point was pretty efficient, even though he's not a tremendous producer when it comes to seeing the field and all that sort of stuff. He's a little bit kind of locked in player, but so what? They're only throwing to 2 guys. So I think I'd rather Penix, and I think I'd probably bet on Penix. I think Penix being the guy who's not starting right now probably is cheaper than Tua right now. Is that true? I would say. Wouldn't you guys think?
I think I was actually looking at ADP on the site in a draft I was in recently, and I think they're only a few picks apart.
Yeah, they're close.
Yeah.
I think that's right. But I think if you gave me a quarterback to just have, I'd probably just take Penix. Just because I hope I'm not relying on either one of them right now, and I'd rather see long-term upside potential with Penix over Tua, although both of them are probably pretty bad bets.
Yeah, hopefully that's your emergency third quarterback, not your QB2.
Yeah, right. Definitely. You are, if that's your QB2, you are trying to retool that position for sure. Hopefully one of those guys can stay healthy enough to be a stopgap, and I would probably lean a little bit
if
towards
you got them
Penix.
Both, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's probably the move too, right, Jax? With both of their injury history, like it's funny in separate conversations. Kerty, you mentioned I really hope Penix doesn't get injured again. He's been through more ACLs, and Jax, than you. I hope Tua doesn't get do these guys even have one full quarterback? Like I think that's the scary part about this team and attaching to this offense. But I think
tug on my Penix.
Yeah, and Tua tug on my Penix.
Thank you. Yeah. Put them together, they sound pretty good, don't they?
Yep. I think Penix might just have the longer leash because the organization wants to get a lot out of him, right? Because he was that first round pick. But who knows what Stefanski does. I think it's almost similar to the the Vegas situation where Kirk Cousins is going to be that stopgap for Mendoza, even though Penix isn't a rookie. So kind of similar trajectories for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, you spoke about one Nookie Beck, or if he's not so good, he could end up being Crazy Eyes Beck, whichever Steve Buscemi character you prefer. But it's getting dicey as far as Jacoby Brissett being the starter in Arizona. He's holding out for starter money right now. They are staying strong in that why would we pay you a bunch of money when we're probably going to win 4 games anyway and still be trying to get that first round quarterback and get rid of you after this season. So I think it's an interesting little spot they're in. I don't know where the compromise happens or when it happens, but time is ticking for him to come in there. And these other guys, Nookie Beck as well. This is Carson Beck, by the way, just if anybody doesn't understand why I'm calling him not by his name. It's a bit we have. There's also Gardner the Hardener, and I wouldn't put it past him to have that kind of veteran deference if Carson Beck isn't acclimating to be the guy that's right behind who they hope is Jacoby Brissett. So, Jax, why don't you make sense of the Arizona kind of quarterback situation, what you think is going to happen, and then kick it right on to Kerty about it.
Yeah. Well, starting with Brissett, he's only got like $1.5 million guaranteed. So, I mean, he's like, what the fuck am I doing? You know what I mean? Like, am I playing for a contract? I thought I did that last year. You know, can I have a little fucking contract, please? You know, so I don't think he's even asking for an extension. I think he's just asking to be guaranteed a little bit more money so he can, you know, take care of his family. And, you know, I get this. This is not a ton of money. $1.5 million guaranteed is not a lot. So if he gets hurt week 1, it's rough. So I think he's looking for a little bit of starter security. Look, if you're a backup, you're less likely to get hurt. So it's hard to sort of negotiate. But when you're going out there on the line of fire, it's like, look, I can just not play and get the 1.5. You know what I mean? So I see it from his perspective, and I do think they'll get something done. I think it's probably because they've got plenty of cap room, and I think they'd rather him be the starter. I think that's their plan. They just didn't really want to have to pay him. And to your point, Trav, why would they? But I do think they'll probably, even if it's a small amount, you know, guarantee him $5 million or something, you know, at least it's something, right? All that to say that I do think this all spells Carson Beck is going to get opportunities. The 4 wins thing you said, the holdout, the fact that it's like, could we just turn to, you know, look at journeyman at this point, although my favorite journeyman maybe of all time, Gardner Minshew. But, you know, I have to be realistic about who he is. So, you know, look, Carson Beck, pretty good little prospect if you take away the ugly face, right?
He certainly got lots and lots of starts. And I think the Jacoby Brissett thing, we talk fantasy, right? I have no idea what that does for that locker room or the personnel, the coaches, the players, the continuity. If they're just like, yeah, Jacoby, like, we're not going to pay you. Like, what's the motivation there? So I hope that they come to terms with Jacoby Brissett. Seems like a really nice guy, very professional about it. And I think that'd be better for the Arizona other assets, speaking fantasy terms.
Totally.
Of McBride, Jeremiah Love, Marv, Michael Wilson, you name it.
We saw what it looked like last year, to your point, Kerty, right? It is better for the weapon. So we do want to see Brissett get his bag, right?
Yeah, I think range of outcomes for fantasy, we want Brissett to be the starter for as long as possible. Turn it over to Carson Beck and see what the kid's got. I hope he succeeds. Like, man, he stuck it out through college, made that championship game, kind of, you know, shit the bed a little bit, but, you know, he's got an opportunity. So get some starts, see what you got in them, and then if you really are a 4-win team, go take the next best quarterback in this, you know,
I wonder if this is
class.
I wonder if this is something where, you know, these Arizona weapons are sort of sell early in the season type bets. I mean, could they see like less production in the second half because the quarterback play is no longer Brissett or something? I'm just sort of galaxy braining here a little bit, but as you were talking, I was sort of thinking, and like, is that how it's going to go? Is it going to be Brissett? They do the same thing they did last year. They're going to throw it all over the place because they're losing by a ton because they're terrible. They're going to lose again, but, you know, there's going to be a lot of offensive sort of, you know, counting stat, you know, fantasy numbers. And then they're going to be like, well, what are we doing even with Brissett putting Beck? And maybe he's not as prolific. That would certainly be a good bet to bet that he would be less prolific than Brissett sure. As a rookie, right? We don't typically, Cam Ward, name a rookie that came out. They're generally not prolific, even if they're solid. Drake May wasn't prolific in year one. You're right. So I would say betting against that is probably a pretty good bet, making me scared of some of these Marv bags I'm holding here.
You know what? I don't think you should. Sorry, Kerty. I don't think you should be, actually, because I think that almost creates another buy window. Like Marv had a bit of a buy window this offseason with Michael Wilson.
Yeah.
I think it's another buy window because if we look at them winning those 4 games or 3 games, they're going to be getting a top young quarterback next season.
Fair enough.
In a good quarterback draft, right? So I think we're going to see, maybe little ebbs and flows of what we're doing with those assets. But I think, I don't know, maybe it'll be crazy to be betting on Marv again next year too, right? Who knows after what happens this year. So
I will say, I don't know if I've had the take yet, but I am betting on Marvin Harrison Jr. at value. I feel like I'm drafting him everywhere. Same. Best ball, redraft. I like him in Dynasty a ton. I just think his valuation is off. I think it's a little light. I don't think he's necessarily going to return the value that we once thought from his rookie draft, but I do think he's better than what we're thinking he is now. And Michael Wilson did not. If you look at the on-off splits, Michael Wilson with and without Marvin Harrison Jr., they're ugly for Michael Wilson with Marvin Harrison on the field. So I do think that that's a little bit scary for Michael Wilson, and probably spells something. Look. It only makes sense, Michael Wilson or Marvin Harrison Jr., who's probably going to get a little bit more, deference, to use a term, right? I think it's probably Mr. Marvin Harrison Jr. So,
where do you sit on those two?
And he's
guys?
likely better than him too, right?
Yeah, definitely. Kerty, where are you sitting on the Wilson versus Marv? Like, I see the case to like both of them too. Like maybe Marv's the one, and in garbage time, Michael Wilson's getting a bunch of stuff. I've been fading Michael Wilson because I'm kind of scared of that little career arc that he could be on. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the downside career arc of him. But where are you sitting, Kerty?
Yeah, Michael Wilson in Dynasty is someone that I didn't have a whole heck of a lot of, but when I did last year, I sold one this offseason. So and context plays in everything. If you're rebuilding, whatnot, I traded Michael Wilson and got back Travis Hunter in a 27th third, just because I don't think Wilson could sustain that, which I'll probably be wrong, but take the upside swing on Hunter. I definitely prefer Marv over Michael Wilson in Dynasty. Just the deference of the name, the draft capital, and the stats. Like Jack said, when they're both on the field, Marv is the one scoring fantasy points.
Yeah, 100%. I think boils down to we do want to see Jacoby Brissett back. And everything that I was reading actually says that the fan base does want him to come back. So I love that point that you made about the locker room, Kerty, because when these guys want that quarterback there and they see that their organization is not feeling that as well, when his salary is disrespectful, I think that's a pretty rough move for their faith in you as an organization. So that wraps up the Cardinals. We are going to get into, I think we got 4 more quarterback situations to break down here, but we are going to give you some words from some sponsors, and we'll be right back. And we're back on Dynasty Underground. Thank you for joining. We're talking training camp hype and some of the teams that we are watching. So some of these storylines, we've already talked about the Arizona Cardinals and Atlanta Falcons quarterback competitions. We got some more quarterback competitions and other stuff to talk about on the show. We're going to go to Cleveland and talk about the quarterbacks there because, it could be a competition, but I don't know, guys. I think the first question I'm going to pose to you guys is that question. Deshaun Watson versus Shedeur Sanders. Is that a competition, or do we think that Deshaun Watson is kind of the cemented starter for the organization, despite the fact that maybe we want them to give Shedeur a shot too, Kerty?
How much money is Deshaun Watson guaranteed?
A lot.
Still a lot, yeah.
You just got to do it. You have to. The dude was it at one point in time. There has been injuries, all the other shit he's gone through, but there's pieces on that offense. Harold Fannin smashed as a rookie. They added 2 wide receivers in the draft. Judkins is young. They've drafted really, really well. Even though they traded Myles Garrett, they still got back Jared Verse plus another pick. Like, they're going to be young. They're doing some fun stuff. So shout out to all the Cleveland Browns fans listening. Like, hopefully you're on the up, and up, from not being on the up, and up. And I think they're going to be their best bet to win football games. Just even if Deshaun isn't physically able to do what he was able to do years ago, his cerebral and wherewithal, how to run an offense, I think will trump or be the advantage to the others in that quarterback room.
Mm-hmm.
I agree he's going to get the shot. I was reading a blurb that said that Shedeur is closing in on Deshaun. Whatever. What does that mean? I don't think it means anything. I think it means that there's probably some uncertainty, as there well should be, in Deshaun Watson in that building. Right?
No,
we're right. We're full steam ahead with this dude. So I do think that there's going to be a short leash, for lack of a better term. I do think that they're not sure, as we are all not sure. But I do agree. I've been saying this is a great bet. Like, he seems so cheap in every format. I'm in the Scott Fish Bowl. I'm like at round 12 or something like that. And quarterbacks are somewhat devalued anyway, but like, he's so far down there on the list. And I'm just like, I'm playing the Deshaun Watson chicken because I'm going to try and draft him, but I also want to I don't want to overdraft him. I'm just waiting. And it's like, maybe he's good, maybe he's not, but like, it's just so free for him, So I just see him as such this like very, very inexpensive dart throw. What were we talking about, Trav, in a couple shows ago? He was like in the 19th round of startups. Is that right? Was that, I don't remember if that's exactly right.
Something like that.
Way back there, right?
I can check on the site right now, but yeah, it was way back there for sure.
It was way back there. And I just think look, yeah, he's probably nothing, but every player taken after the 19th round is probably nothing. They're all terrible bets. That's why they're back there. But, his asymmetrical upside, if you just looked at who has the highest ceiling of all the players drafted, where Deshaun Watson gets drafted in a startup, and behind him it's Deshaun Watson, and yeah, it's not a fun pick really, but I got no problem with it. Just throwing because I got quarterbacks out the wazoo on most of my rosters. Kerty, I'm not sure about you, but I'm just happy to have him on a roster. I'd be more than happy to take him on my roster at his value in almost every league.
No, I'm in a 14-team Superflex startup. I got him at the 17-3.
Right, 14, right.
14 team. That's
exactly
super
That's
deep. I was shocked, but yes, it's just another quarterback to have on your roster and flip him, start him.
Maybe he's good, right? Exactly. We'll do whatever. Maybe he rots. Maybe he's just immediately terrible. Who knows? Who cares? But yeah, on the off chance that he starts 1, 2, 3, 4 games and he's good, you're like, whoa! You could just flip him right then and there. If you don't believe, if you believe, well, I guess you could hold and get the production. But either way, you win, right?
Yeah, for sure. Important to note, Kerty, a Houston Texans fan. So Kerty was there for when Deshaun Watson wasn't a bad guy. And you said it, Kerty. He wasn't necessarily always like a run his face off quarterback either. He was more opportunistic. I remember back in the day podcasting, digging some red zone rushing stats, and a lot of his production was from opportunistic red zone rushing touchdowns and stuff like that. So he's I think he can do it even if some of that mobility is sapped, because that's not the only way that he succeeded back in the day. He needs to roll out of the pocket and get outside and stuff like that.
I heard he was asking some of his coaching staff, what is this tush push? He said. Just interested in it, topically,
for sure. Yeah.
So maybe we'll see some of that.
Tell me more.
Hey, Quinshawn, you're looking nice today.
Tell me about, what is this? No, it has nothing to do with, never mind. Let's not run it then. He didn't understand exactly what it was.
Leave the towel on the sideline, we'll be fine.
Right. Yeah. Why does the center have the towel? Is it for the tush push? I'm not sure. What are we doing here? Anyway, moving on.
Moving on. I mentioned it before, and I don't think.
By the way, he was also Mr. Kerty was also present when my New England Patriots dog walked C.J. Stroud in the playoffs last year too. He was present for that as well.
Yeah,
right. You got one more thing, Jax, or
Nope, that's it.
Joe's not here. Joe's not here. So yeah. I don't know if this one's a competition either in Las Vegas. We mentioned it previously, Mendoza and Kirk Cousins. I think it seems pretty clear that Kirk Cousins probably gets the early start. But what I'm monitoring is just how close that gap is, right? Like, what if Mendoza comes in and plays awesome? He's the first overall pick. Kirk Cousins is a little bit, whatever. That gap then closes. So maybe Kirk Cousins, has to play his ass off to be starting through like 3 weeks or something like that. How do you think it shakes out, Jax, as far as Mendoza getting starts, when he gets starts? He's definitely getting some this year.
You know what's crazy? I was wondering about this. I haven't seen anything yet. I think this is one of those that I don't know how much it matters. I don't know. I don't know how much you're looking at Mendoza as on a contender, out of the box starter in your super flex leagues either. I think he's sort of found money. Maybe you draft him if you quote unquote needed a quarterback. I suppose there's some teams hoping that he's going to start. That would be a tough thing to be going into the season, quote unquote, needing it from Fernando Mendoza. That'd be a bad plan. That's a team that should probably be trading for Geno Smith, Deshaun Watson, or I don't know, name it. Stafford would be a great, whatever, somebody to be a quarterback too there to offset the time you're waiting for Mendoza, as we've waited for all these guys. I bring up Cam Ward again, but so I don't know that it matters all that much, because you're not depending on Kirk Cousins or Mendoza in almost any situation. I have literally zero Fernando Mendoza in 20-something leagues. I just didn't see the value of him as an early, 102 type player. I just sold that pick and get me the hell out of there. So I don't know.
Same wavelength with you. I had zero Mendoza, and then my buddy Grindberg texted me they needed one more guy for another startup. And I don't know how to use the word no. But basically in that draft, where I'll circle back to Mendoza, is I traded out of all of my picks until the 602 for future capital and moving back. And my first pick was Fernando Mendoza, which fits that build perfectly.
Right.
Like, that's what you want for that kind of team where you're going to go productive struggle year one, or, not want to score a bunch of points or just not need to plan on needing Mendoza. If you drafted Mendoza early in your rookie drafts, you have your plan. Like Jack said, I am someone who is reading now. Like, I think Tom Brady's got a big voice in that organization, and he just preaches that it's like the big no-no to have these young quarterbacks start. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to sit here and say I'd be surprised if Mendoza doesn't play at all, but
right.
To put a number on it, like week 10, week 11,
that's fair.
Just range of outcomes. Like,
interesting.
Who's he throwing to? Like, Jalen Naylor, is he getting open? Trey Tucker's cool for those splash plays. Yes, Brock Bowers is a god. You could just hand it to Genty. I just think it's going to depend on putting him in a position to win, knowing he's the future of that organization. And I don't know if the Raiders think they're going to win this year. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't. Maybe they start hot and Kirk Cousins.
It's a really good point. So it's a really good point too to the weapons. Like, throwing him to the proverbial wolves with no weapons early on makes zero sense to me. Which quarterback in the league would you put in that offense and they would be better than their current situation? Like, there's not very many, so it's a bad situation. I mean, bad. It's not a great situation. Bowers is obviously awesome, but to say that, that's pretty much the only thing you've got that's like, hang your hat on it, I can depend on it, awesome wide receiver, throw it up. There's none of that on the outside. He's got nothing like that. I mean, heck, I think Tom Brady had better weapons. Probably not. I meant Drake May. Excuse me. I meant Drake May. In his rookie year.
The schedule.
Yeah. Sorry. I mean, you just try and think about these quarterbacks that have sort of navigated some bad weapons and still been successful. It's really hard to do. And I don't know. Yeah, I do think though that Mendoza, he's built right. I'll say that.
Oh my gosh,
he's built right, man. That kid is.
I didn't want to pay the early rookie draft price because, again, is it a 4-point passing touchdown league, 6-point, all that jazz? Yeah. He's tied to Kubiak though. Like,
yeah,
that's what you want long term. That's that's kind of an edge. I think you had Angel on the undrafted recently.
Yeah.
He was talking about Caleb's tied to Ben Johnson and Tyler Suggs now tied to Kellen Moore. And that's what we want to start to buy into, these Shanahan, Johnson type coordinators, coaches that are going to be there. They're not going to go anywhere anytime soon because those guys are a dime a dozen. Or harder to find.
Yeah. The opposite of a dime a dozen.
Yeah,
for sure. That's kind of where I was going to go, Kerty, is that's where I think I would almost counter the who is he throwing to argument, in that Sam Darnold just gave like over 40% of his targets to JSN, right? And so I could see a similar kind of setup here with Brock Bowers. Obviously, it's a little bit different with JSN moving outside a bunch, but Bowers can do some of that versatile stuff too. I don't think he's going to have that type of year, or like Bowers could have that type of year, but I don't know if Fernando Mendoza is the guy who does that for him fully. But I think I'm maybe a little bit more bullish. I checked. I only have one share, boys. It's in the Underground League, and it was a 103, not a 101 or a 102. So I'm cool with that. And that team needs work, so I can wait for Fernando Mendoza on that one for sure.
I sent you a trade offer in that league, by the way.
Oh, did you? I got to check that out.
Whenever you get a chance.
I'm going to check it out at otcffb.com, because we can do that. This one's more fun to talk about, but also like recent conversations may have alluded to who's going to win this one. And it's in Minnesota with Kyler Murray being brought in with the incumbent JJ McCarthy after a rough rookie season. And the recent stuff that I'm talking about, boys, was Kevin McConnell was on a recent interview. And I think the host was alluding to Kyler being the starter. And McConnell kind of made a face and didn't respond.
O'Connell. You said McConnell.
Did I say McConnell? Why do I have McConnell? I wrote McConnell on the show sheet too. Who is McConnell?
There's no such name.
Talk about who the fuck is that guy, huh?
Who the fuck is that guy? I'm like, who the fuck is McConnell?
Cousin of Kevin O'Connell.
What team?
Who knows? Okay, it's the BC Lions in the Canadian Football League, boys. Kevin O'Connell. That zany Canadian host, huh?
The zany Canadian host. It's so good. I love that you're the zany Canadian host.
Kevin O'Connell had a recent interview. I can't remember with who. But he was kind of coy about the decision, and it looked like he was trying not to say that Kyler is going to be the starter there. So like if Kyler is the starter, Jax, you have been a JJ McCarthy supporter in the past. Do you think they're still going to try and, pardon my wording, but like jam JJ McCarthy in there if they see any signs of Kyler Murray not playing bad? Obviously, if he gets hurt, JJ McCarthy has to go in there, but they're going to do it, aren't they? I
would be still believing that JJ McCarthy has a shot in this league. I mean, it was very ugly. I'll give you that. And he was like the first quarterback, this side of Josh Dobbs to not succeed in that offense. Like, I mean, there's like every single quarterback, succeeded in that offense, and he did not. And so that's a bad sign for sure. Look, I still think he's got the right kind of makeup a little bit, but obviously that's starting to become way, way less of a strong take. It did not look good. But I do think that they're going to be incentivized to win, and I think that's going to be Kyler to start, right? I can't imagine them going any other direction than Kyler to start off the season. Has Kyler won anything ever anywhere, really? I mean, not really. We've talked about on this show a million times how, Kyler's good for fantasy, and he's kind of prolific, and he's unique in those ways, but he's probably not the guy that you want quarterbacking your favorite NFL team. Like, you're not like, ooh, I wish we could get Kyler Murray. Said nobody ever, right? So I do think at some point Kevin McConnell is going to have to make the decision to McSwap his ass out of there and put in somebody else. And I don't think it's going to be Carson Wentz. And I do think they're going to try to maybe see what JJ McCarthy has. Sorry. But I think that's the buy. I mean, let's put it this way. Who here thinks that we're going to see 17 Kyler Murray starts. I can't imagine.
Not this guy.
Right? That's not me. What about you, Kerty?
I think he's going to start the whole year. He's motivated. In his contract, he put some stipulation where he can't get tagged, so he wants to get the bag again. I still believe in JJ McCarthy. I think he's just young. Who knows what everyone's going through, but Kyler for fantasy, yes, and it's going to boil down to the Vikings winning football games. That division is the Bears, the Lions, and the Packers. Might be the toughest in the NFL. Next, NFC West is up there too, but I don't see him getting benched for play, and he's now incentivized to pretty much play through any injury that he can. He's betting on himself. I hope it works out for him. He's always seemed like a guy that going back to that whole locker room thing, kind of like his attitude, just from perception. I don't know the guy at all, but that could be the only other issue. And I almost equate this to the Atlanta situation somehow, because Tua had all that guaranteed money, so he's playing for league minimum. Kyler's got all that guaranteed money. He's playing for league minimum.
Yeah.
Both of the guys behind them, perceived to be behind them, are the highly drafted, homegrown prospects that they want to succeed.
Right.
And I know the Vikings fired that GM that drafted JJ McCarthy, so that could be their scapegoat. That this guy was stupid. Like it's not our fault.
Mick stupid.
Mick stupid. So but, I would bet Kyler starts majority, if not all, this season, just because it's a good point. Veteran deference there too.
It's a good point, Trav. We were saying, last year, you and Joe specifically always that, Marvin Harrison Jr. had a Kyler problem, right? And he probably did, because we saw what happened when Michael Wilson didn't have that Kyler problem. He went off. So maybe we can see that from Marvin Harrison Jr. again. But if we go to the Kyler situation, I think Justin Jefferson was not happy with the way that McCarthy played last year and the way that he was able to, or not able to, get him the football. But Kyler isn't exactly the guy that you'd, assign with the task of lighting up Justin Jefferson, over and over again. Might we see Justin Jefferson weigh in on who the hell's playing quarterback there in Minnesota at some point?
Depends how squeaky that wheel gets, but for sure, like if Kyler, gets some Kyleritis happening and Justin Jefferson can't get an accurate pass his way to save his life, then I'm sure he's going to be kind of vocal about it, because he's itching to take this playoff ready roster to the playoffs. And I don't blame him for that necessarily. And I think it's kind of interesting because the ADP and maybe the conversation around Justin Jefferson kind of seems like it might be baking that in. I'm looking at the ADP right now, but we don't see him necessarily in that top 3 conversation with the likes of Puka Nacua, Jamar Chase, and whoever you have. JSN is in there. Yeah. You're seeing him down in that 5-6 conversation more so is what I've seen. And I think that's reflective of the transitional quarterback situation.
Yeah, and even that feels kind of hopeful. Right?
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's ceiling of his 2026 finish for sure. I think Dynasty brings in, the long-term talent and stuff like that, where you can keep him in that range. But I think
it's a year older though, right? I mean, it's
exactly,
not great.
Yeah. Exactly.
Can you imagine if they would just re-sign Sam Darnold? What the butterfly effect would have been? You had the guy in the building.
Unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Unbelievable dominance.
I was against it, so I would have been wrong too. So
fucking wild, dude.
Unbelievable. Mm-hmm. I'm usually
crazy.
Wrong, though. It's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Ready to be at least.
Yep.
Indianapolis, boys. Indianapolis. Daniel Dimes Jones participated in spring workouts, and so it looks like he is going to be ready, and I think he's probably got the front seat on that starting job, but he is being monitored heading into training camp. You don't know what could happen. It's a pretty late, back half of the season Achilles tear that he had, and he's a pretty mobile quarterback as far as moving around in the pocket and breaking runs off. So do we think this is another opening for one Anthony Richardson, Kerty?
I would bet no.
Yeah,
I would.
Fair.
I would, if I had to bet, like Nerf gun to my head, bet Anthony Richardson or Riley Leonard. Riley Leonard is who I would pick.
Oh, dang!
What he did with that. what he did with that last year when they hit a couple spot starts before they signed Old Man Rivers. But yeah, I hope Daniel Jones can get healthy. I was being a Texans fan, I'm still rooting for Daniel Jones coming from the Giants and playing the way he did. Shane Steichen, I don't think he ever got a fair shake. It was just unfortunate that he got hurt. Was playing very well at a high level. Really, fantasy was bump like JT crazy, Tyler Warren crazy, Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman. Everything was going nuts. So yeah, I think it's a 0 for Anthony Richardson. I hope if he's dedicated and wants to do it, I hope that he gets a change of scenery and an opportunity to do so. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Don't need to tap out, but I'll tap you in over there, Jax.
Yeah. So I kind of see this a little bit different. We did see Daniel Jones play well for a stretch there. I just don't think he's good. I don't particularly think that he's the savior. So he's been injured. I think he's iffy at best. Like, if we do a draft of, quarterbacks I want quarterbacking my favorite team this year in the real NFL, I ain't taking Daniel Jones in the top 20-25. That's for sure. Like, he's a bottom 5 to 10 quarterback in the NFL from my seat. I don't know, that opens the door wide enough. And while I don't know where Anthony Richardson is at, I would just say I'm willing to take him on my roster for free. In the event that he gets on the field, he's instantly a top 10 quarterback weekly, right? In fantasy. Not in real life, obviously. But in fantasy, the moment he's on the field, he's a top 10 quarterback in fantasy. That's just the way it goes. And so having a backup quarterback like that on your dynasty roster is exactly what I want. So yeah, give me Anthony Richardson over Riley Leonard, although there is a Riley Leonard hive I'm aware of. There is. I've seen it. It's real. And Homeboy's got some love out there. So God bless him.
Yeah, well, Kerty is filling Joe's seat very nicely because Joe is in that hive, I would believe. And there's been I've seen positive reports on Riley Leonard coming through camp too. And so that's an interesting take there.
He's probably better than Anthony Richardson. I mean, to be fair, I'm not saying that he's not. I'm just saying how much that matters is less so because maybe he's, who knows? They're both probably worthless, but I just love that tantalizing upside, especially at the low cost of Anthony Richardson.
You're 100% correct for Dynasty Fantasy Football. Low cost, top 10 player if and when he starts. It's Justin Fields all over again.
Yeah, right. Which we know how that one ends.
Yeah, I think there is some of that too. And I think what is making the perception different is the way that he played with Steichen. And so I think him and Steichen being that perfect marriage is what's going to make them want to give Daniel Jones a shot continuously if he's healthy.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see what they do after this season. And yeah, go ahead.
Kerty, I'll give you this too. Like we gave up on Justin Fields at one point and he sort of got his chance again. I mean, think about the way we were talking about Malik Willis after his rookie year or even after his second year or during his second year. We were like, this guy's a bum. Now all of a sudden he's got a starting gig in the NFL. So these things can change. I'm not suggesting that we should expect that to happen for Anthony Richardson, but we should expect it to be a possibility and in the range of outcomes. And for those reasons, he's worth it.
You want him on your roster at cost.
That's right.
Malik Willis was on waivers in some leagues, depending on your size.
You wanted him on your roster at that cost.
Yes, that. Yep. Not, yes, absolutely.
Yep.
I
mean, that's right.
Daniel Jones got paid, and they don't have a first in 2027 now either for Sauce Gardner. So there's job security.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, no more team situations. This is just a funny note that I actually saw come across the news ticker on OTCFFB.com. Derek Carr was contacted by multiple teams, boys, and he wants the perfect situation.
Yeah,
I put on the show sheet in capital letters LOL. But I also think that if he goes to a team, he won't be going there without knowing that he's going to get some starts probably. And so we have to take him into account with Superflex as our main format. What do we think? Is there a perfect situation for him, boys?
I don't know that I'm LOL on this. I actually, I mean, I think if you just ask me, look, I don't know what sort of shape he's in or how he's doing or anything, but if you just say, look, Derek Carr is as good as he could be at his age right now. That's where he's at physically, and it's all good. He's all dialed in, and he's going to come in and be able to play as well as he can. I would put him in the top 15 to 18 quarterbacks in the NFL as an NFL quarterback. I don't know. He's in there. Obviously you prefer Baker and Goff and all these, of course, right? I understand that. But I'm saying, like, you start getting into the, I don't know, he's probably serviceable, Yeah. Would you rather have him or Tua? Like,
him for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. He's probably, so at some point or another, I do think he's okay. And then I would say that special perfect situation. I think he said special situation.
Did he? Okay,
perfect situation. Whatever. It's the
Maybe
same
both.
Difference. Perfectly special. Just yeah. Just like a McConnell ice cream sandwich.
100%.
Yeah, I love those. Those are delicious.
So where is it?
It's when someone gets hurt.
Yeah.
Right? That's where it is. I think it's stay in shape, wait.
Yes.
Someone, the Aaron Rodgers pops the Achilles situation happens for the Jets or whatever, right? It's like, whoa, let's call Derek Carr, bring him in type of thing.
Yeah. The 2026 version of Phillip Rivers is Derek Carr.
No, it's true. That's right. Yeah.
Less kids.
I want to know who these multiple teams are, by the way. Multiple teams that will remain nameless.
Well, they were calling him for a coaching job. That's what
it was.
You want to come work with our quarterbacks?
Wait, did you say quarterback? Yeah, I'm a quarterback. Yeah. No, thank you. No, thank you.
I could see Arizona if the Jacoby thing goes sideways.
There you go.
What I mean? And I think
they could use a fourth backup quarterback there. I'm joking.
No, hey, yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. And I just thought it was a funny note as we were talking about quarterbacks on this show. We're going to move in, guys, to some injured studs. We've talked about these guys, Jacks, on some of the shows, but I think things have tracked forward a little bit. Just a few to talk about here. But Bucky Irving, and I got to give a shout out to John Leonard. I mentioned him previously as a new community ambassador for the Discord, but that is slowly escalated. And I actually asked him if he would like to elaborate on some of the banger data that he drops in the Discord. And so now he's been writing some articles. So he's got one article already out on otcffb.com, a couple more in the chamber to do with Dynasty Best Ball, which I think is really interesting. So keep an eye out on the site for that. But he actually recently wrote a Choose Your Fighter piece on Bucky Irving and Kenneth Gainwell. I thought it was interesting. Go check it out on the site. But what do you guys think about the Bucky discourse coming in, Jax? Maybe we'll start with you. And like, it's dicey.
It's very dicey. It's very dicey. And there's other capable backs on the roster, which is a problem, right? That's like, it's one thing if they're just like, no, this is our first round, pick type of, super heavily invested in workhorse, long-term reputation guy with nobody behind him. None of those things are true in this case, right? He's a late round pick, undersized, injured, only one season of production dude. That's what he is, with talent behind him, with fresh talent in Kenny Gainwell, who really afforded himself very nicely. And look, I think they're closer in as prospects, anyhow. I loved Kenny Gainwell as a prospect. I thought he was a really, really solid prospect. I think he was as good as Bucky Irving as a prospect. Bucky got a really good run out. He's a really good player. Nothing bad. I think they're both good football players. And I think there's probably a bit of a 50-50 split when it comes right down to it. I'm not so sure they trusted Rachaad White as much. I think he's a little bit of not as nuanced a football player as either one of these guys, right? So I think that now they have two of these guys. I don't know, man. I'm petrified. I was thinking about this theory that I was having, and it was the idea that I would sell. So this is a brainstorm I'm going to share with the Dynasty community. When you have a situation like I have with Colson Loveland and Trey McBride, where I view the difference between Colson Loveland and Trey McBride as less than the difference than the community thinks in Dynasty, right? As an example, I'm just using it as an example. How do I take advantage of that? Well, if I can sell Trey McBride for Colson Loveland, or pick the thing that you think is closer than the Dynasty community thinks, I'm going to use that difference to sell off another asset up to something else I like. So the example would be I'd take Trey McBride and Bucky Irving and sell it for Colson Loveland in something that's we all kind of agree is a little bit better than Bucky Irving. And someone would look at that and go, yeah, that's perfect. I'm going to do that. And so because I think Colson Loveland and Trey are super close, it allows me to get from Bucky somewhere else. And it's just a little bit of a thing that I was thinking about. And I was like, I want to mention that. So those are just things that, you can have your own take on where those value gaps are, but that's how you can leverage a value gap that you see and then use it. I would be selling off this Bucky Irving situation in these types of ways to get myself just off that boat onto another, you know what I mean? Running back to running back here, maybe even sell down and get some profit and take another risk. Maybe there's a riskier player below. Again, we were talking Bashal Tootin. I'd rather probably try and do that. Especially if I can get, from Bucky to Bashal plus, that'd be great. So I don't know. There's probably a way to lily pad off of him and still not give up too much.
Yeah, I think that's a good take there for Bucky.
That's it. I'm just nervous. Oh,
totally.
What about you, Kerty?
Yeah.
No, and NFL teams can't lie to us when they're making draft picks, when they're signing players. They signed Kenny Gainwell and let Rashad walk. Like, they're like, we're going to make this guy a priority and give him some money. Not to take Bucky's job, but to be involved to that degree. I mean, Kenny Gainwell, I agree, as a talent, was just in the wrong situation in Philly. Look what he did with Aaron Rodgers, who's not a mobile quarterback. He caught 70-some-odd passes. Like, that's PPRG code.
Yes.
So it's going to happen. I'm not going to say it's going to happen again. There's range of outcomes. Again, Baker, not mobile. And I don't have any Bucky in Dynasty.
Same.
Like, it's scary, and I hope his injury stuff is all right. Like, Joe would talk about, I think it was even like last year, some of the stuff that Bucky was tweeting where it's like, oh boy. And them bringing back Sean Tucker too, I think says a lot that they want to keep familiarity in that room and they like what Sean Tucker brings. And he could be the goal line back and it could be a 3-headed monster.
Yeah.
Just to keep them all fresh. So that's kind of my take on that.
Yeah, for sure. And the sell on Bucky actually isn't that bad because if we look over the past couple of months at ADP, his startup ADP at the end of March was like in the 501, 503 area, still in like the 509 area. So I'd be selling that for sure. So I think that's a nice take there, Jax. This one hurts the heartstrings a little bit, but Malik Neighbors, boys, real chance that he's starting the season on the pup. What are you guys seeing? What are you guys hearing? What are you guys doing with Malik Neighbors? Like Chase, our social intern, he told me specifically we got to talk about Malik Neighbors soon because we're getting to a crucial point where we're assessing our teams going into the season. We might need that production, but he's hard to sell because you're probably not getting what you would likely want to get out of Malik Neighbors. So how have you been treating it, Kerty, in those leagues where you've got him?
So this is a great question. I traded away one Malik Neighbors share in the Discord, the Peace Discord startup. So I traded Malik Neighbors, essentially a 2 and a 3, and got back Hampton, Travion Henderson, and Jamison Williams, which to me,
that's nice.
That was full freight. Like, that's full freight for a healthy Malik Neighbors. I'd love to get your guys' opinion on that trade. Other than that, I haven't sold him at all. Actually, I was at Scott Fishbowl Live Draft yesterday in Chicago, in Bartlett, and turned out Adam Hutchinson is in my division. So I got to meet Adam. Shout out Adam.
Yes,
Great work with football guys. He's injury specialist. He writes. He's amazing. I took Malik Neighbors in the 4th round of Scott Fishbowl. It's open bar, all the pizza you can eat, right? I walk over to Adam like, how bad is this really?
Yeah.
And Adam just spits his game with his stats. He's like, if they met this threshold, which he's blown out of the water, if they're this, he's blown that out of the water. He's like, after week 4 is pretty much like back to who he is. And not to put words in Adam's mouth. It was something along those lines of, I'm not worried, and it's a great pick in the 4th round of a format like this.
I got him in the 4th of mine too, Kerty. I got him in the 4th of my Scott Fishbowl draft too, baby.
Bang.
I like that. But, thanks, Hutch.
Shout out Adam Hutchinson. Circling back to that trade, though, that's the only time I've sold Malik. I haven't really tried to trade for him yet. I kind of want to wait for the shoe to drop, that he's not going to be ready week 1 and send out offers like crazy.
For sure.
Going back to the start of the show with the hype stuff. But
what was the trade? I was getting some bevies from my wife.
Nice.
God bless her. What
a
gal.
That's the hookup. I asked my wife to bring the dog back upstairs. He's over here.
It was Neighbors, a 2 and a 3, Jax, for Omarion, Travion, and Jameson Williams.
Wow. That's good. That's good.
That's good.
I think it's full freight.
Great.
Like if
that's a good
healthy.
trade. I would be, I'm not buying for those prices, but I think I'd be buying Malik Neighbors. When you were talking, Trav, at the beginning, and you said, hard guy to sell, I'm thinking and you said because of, everybody's thinking about setting their lineups and stuff like that. I'm like, I can't think that way with a guy like Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors is not I wonder what he's like on week 3, 4, 5. I got to think about what he's like in year 4, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
Because this is the type of player that we agree is special. And my only question that I would be asking Adam, and I probably will at this point, will be based off what is he going to be that guy again? Like, is it more time, or is it more like, I'm not so sure it ever really gets back to, if that were the question, if that were the way that would be answered, I'd be just heartbroken. But I haven't heard that. And it sounds like, based off what you're saying, that's not what we think it is. So for me, week 4 is like, whatever, I'll just make do with whatever I've got on my deep ass dominant, wink, wink, dynasty roster. But seriously, you'll find a way to make something happen, especially early. Actually, in the first 3-4 weeks, it's usually easiest because you kind of got everybody available. No bye weeks, et cetera, right? No injuries, except for this stupid one. But I'm looking to buy Neighbors because I do believe that when healthy and when right, especially if he's attached to Jackson Dart, who is not afraid to throw it down the field and should be a prolific offense because of how great Dart can be, I think. I would say that Neighbors should go back to wide receiver 1 overall in my dynasty ranks. He's not there right now because it's very hard to have an injured player like that who we're unsure about at that position. But I'm also like, I'm okay sort of paying almost anything because I think that's where it goes. And I love this prospect. Obviously, as you guys know, we were huge Team Neighbors people. So give me Malik Neighbors at his current valuation for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I recently threw out an offer of 227 firsts for him. I think he's worth more than that, but obviously trying to get a little bit of a discount, and that was rejected. I think a sharp move by that other manager, right? Because I probably wouldn't. I don't know if I would have done that for sure, because I think he is like generational wide receiver, can do it all kind of stuff. And their situation looks good, like you said, Jackson. So we here are riding that. So I think that's fun. One other note, guys, this is not to alarm, but Ladd McConkey, I'm seeing that he's got like a little bit of slight hamstring stuff going on. Coaching staff said nothing to worry about. So you talk about the drum beat that we want to be listening to, Jax. We want to kind of be listening and seeing the coaching staff to a degree, of course. But
injuries are a little bit different, though, Trav. Right? I mean, injuries are injuries.
They said he's going to be full go for camp when it starts, and so they didn't really say he's going to be limited or anything like that. And so until I see him limited, then I'll start reacting, of course. But if we do see some of that stuff crop up in training camp, the news around Quentin Johnston has been nothing but glowing as far as what he can do after the catch. We like Mike McDaniel as an offensive coordinator. So while we're stoked about what that can do for Ladd McConkey, maybe it does some of that for Quentin Johnston too. And so just something for us to monitor as they move through training camp and Ladd sort of gets fully healthy, even though he's not really that hurt.
Question. Is it foregone conclusion that it's QJ over Trey Harris in the future? I'm not obviously right now the values there.
Maybe not the future, but what I'm seeing this offseason, they're really liking Quentin Johnston and what he's been doing. So I think he at least gets first crack at the 2 spot. Kerty?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. That's why I'm just asking the question. I kind of hurt.
I love Trey still.
Give me some Trey,
I love him.
Yeah. No, I think it'll be interesting to see how they deploy the wide receivers behind Ladd McConkey, because I think it's clear there was another snippet that came out and said Ladd's number one, which of course he is, but behind him, I'd be curious to see what they do with multiple tight ends, obviously, as they're looking that they might play a lot of two tight ends. I wonder Gadsden, QJ. Gadsden's been cheap lately too, huh? It's like everybody thinks that
it's nuts.
Gadsden's a buy right now. This is crazy.
I took him. I think it was the 7th or the 8th of my fishbowl, and I thought that was absolutely stealing when we look at 20-yard reception bonus. Yeah. And Oronde Gadsden being that seam guy attached to Mike McDaniel and Justin Herbert right now. Like, get off me with your David Njoku has any impact on fucking Oronde Gadsden after what we saw last season. Like, totally. Come on.
Darren Waller was doing it.
With Waller, Mike McDaniel
at that age, Gadsden's 100 times what the athlete Waller is now, and it's going to do that. Not going to do that same role. If he's in that same role, then it's not a question. You got to go get him at this price.
Yeah, I think Njoku being there is actually just good for him. You know what I mean? He's just more of something the defense has to take note of when they're in 2 tight end sets. And so, give me Gadsden at his prices all day. I'm in the same boat. It's been wild how discounted he's been. So I'm snapping that up for sure. Okay, boys, we're going to talk about we're going to ride this out with some rookies that we're watching in training camp. Like, but first we have to go and say some words from the sponsors, and we'll be right back. And we are back on Dynasty Underground. Jackson and I have been joined by OTC's very own Kerty. If you've been in the OTC ecosystem, you know him and you love him, and we've had a fun show so far. So let's ride this puppy out, boys. I wanted to talk about some rookies that we're watching as we go into training camp, because of course that's a big part of our content process is the rookie process. And albeit not the greatest class, I know there were some guys that we were looking at. And so I'm curious to see that from what we've heard going through kind of OTAs and the spring workouts and stuff like that, has that changed, right? Like there's some guys, obviously we're not going to come on here and say, we're looking for Jeremiah Love to really secure that bell cow role for the Arizona Cardinals. That's not really what we're trying to say in this one. We're looking maybe a little bit back and seeing some of these guys where that depth chart debris that I've been talking about maybe has cleared up for some of them. Jax, do you have anybody that's coming to mind?
So I want to first mention, hold on, Omar Cooper. I know he's a little bit more at the top, and I've got some further down. I'm kind of going in this order. I do think the targets behind Garrett Wilson are intriguing. Is it Sadiq? Is it Cooper? Is it not them at all? Do you know what I mean? Like I'm going to be curious to see how they sort of deploy and just even the snaps, early on. So Omar Cooper's one. Of course, I've got a ton of Omar Cooper shares. I'm kind of hopeful to see him go out there and return value. I think past that, there's a couple others. Obviously, I wanted to see Carson Beck. I do think that, how this whole thing plays out in Arizona is one that I think I want to try and take advantage of in value. I think if people are still sort of looking at Carson Beck, further down the board, I think that's one that I definitely want. And then probably I'll go with this one. Angela was on my program last week. I think Damon Claiborne in Minnesota, the Minnesota running back situation, I think they're going to start with, Mason and Aaron Jones and that whole thing. But I'd like to hear if they quote unquote like him, right? If you hear some positive rumors about Damon Claiborne, maybe he's a guy who could find his way on the field later in the season. I don't think he's going to be out there to start. I don't think he's going to be out there in the first 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks, right? I think he's more of that sort of playoff run type of player. So one of those guys that you may be able to buy early on in the season, again, still at a discount. But who knows? I'd like to hear more about what they think of Damon Claiborne.
Kerty? Yeah, I'd love that. I picked up Claiborne in damn near every rookie draft I could. Just given that running back room of age of Aaron Jones and health of Jordan Mason / just how he performed last year.
Yep.
One of the rookies I like to watch, this is such a unique situation to me. I'm like very curious. This Adam Randall pick.
Yeah.
Because the Ravens came out and said the owner, Steve Biscotti, however you say his name, did the research. This was his pick.
McConnell. That's
Steve
McDonald, something like that.
Yeah. McScotty.
Yeah, and they have the whole new coaching staff that might want to be a people pleaser to the owner and get Adam Randall involved. I know Derrick Henry's an alien. I wouldn't want to bet against him, but at some point in time, Father of Time will win. I don't think there's much behind Derrick Henry. Justice Hill battled some kind of neck injury towards the end of last year, I think. And then Rasheen Ali. So no big names, in my opinion, to overcome. And then I just had on here the dart throw rookie tight ends. So those guys of the Justin Jollies, Will Kazmarek, that sounds like Kazimir Pulaski, Marlon Klein, etc. Those tight ends later in your rookie drafts, speaking more to these 0.75 or 1 tight end premium leagues, these guys, what I'm reading about, like that Will Kazmarek on the Dolphins, is he's pretty much the best blocker in the class and pretty freaking athletic, played at Ohio State behind all those prolific wide receivers. If he's on the field with that wide open room, who knows? It's Greg Dulcich ahead of him, and what wide receivers of consequence. So I think those are just going to be interesting to me. Probably ends up being nothing. But if you're in those deep leagues, like that dispersal I joined with you, Jax, 14 team, it's like a 2-point tight end premium. Like just rack up all those guys later.
Yes.
So
do you see my tight end room in that league too?
I got to check that one out.
Yeah, you should check it out. Check out my tight. Just pull that one up while I'm talking. That way you can have the tight end room in the gigantic tight end premium league that I'm. But I think that's right though. As he's looking that up, there's just so many of these tight ends. I have them all grouped together, and to his point, they're all probably nothing. But if you go sort of as a group, there's like 15 of them or something like that. And I'll just kind of go through them. Jack Endries in Cincinnati, Gillenborg, who we love, the cyborg in Kansas City, who's playing behind an aging Travis Kelce and Noah Gray. They like the tight end there, right? Will Kazmarek, he mentioned. Marlon Klein, he mentioned. The other guy, Seydou, I don't even know how the fuck to say his name. The other guy in Miami, Traore, whatever his name is. I can spell it. I just can't say it. He's super athletic. Michael Trigg, who can't jump over a box, as we pointed out. He can't jump over a dead cat or whatever the joke is. I love Matt Hibner, but there's also Josh Cuevas there in Baltimore behind no Isaiah Likely and behind Mark Andrews. Go ahead.
Did you say Josh Cuevius?
Ooh, Joe Cuevius. That's right.
Is that a long lost cousin?
Yeah, that's him. Joe Cuevius.
You might have just found something. Joe, if you're listening, hit your 23andMe and check your shit out, dude.
Bauer Sharp is a guy that exists. I really liked Daquan Wright. He's now in Philadelphia. I think he's got plenty of bodies to climb there.
Georgia,
he's
right?
Probably Ole Miss. He's probably nobody, and he's got way too much in front of him to do anything, and it's probably completely Jover for him, but he's also 1,000% free in any league you're in. Mm-hmm. So again, all these guys are basically free. But all these guys, when you start going down, they're all basically just guys you want to just kind of like Kerty's saying, just keep your ear down. And if something starts to pop up, maybe that's the guy you prioritize and pick up and throw him on the back of a roster, some sort of taxi situation. So it's a good take with just the volume of tight ends back there. And we weren't even talking about some of the higher ones like Koziel and Delp and all those guys. So these tight ends are, you kind of want to use the bird shot approach, not the buckshot approach with the tight ends.
Yeah, because like a lot of these tight ends wait till year 3 or 4 to break out, right? Like, think about Tucker Kraft, who we love. We didn't really love him like that when he first came out. He had to grow into that, right? And so maybe you get one of those guys out of the 7 you put or 6 you put on your tight end premium roster.
And you probably don't, but just be aware, right?
For sure.
Anyway, did you find that tight end room?
I did.
Send me a screenshot and I can put it up
okay?
in post too. Send me a screenshot and I'll pop it up on the screen.
Is it okay? Is it good?
We'll screenshot it. So again, 14 team, 2 PPR tight end, Tucker Kraft, Harold Fannin, Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, Cade Otton, and Darren Waller.
Jax, you want a second to suck
the rest
yourself
of
off
the
there,
rest
or
of the,
what?
no, the rest of the team though. Wait, it may be the quarterbacks aren't good. What are the quarterbacks in that league?
Oh my God, here we go.
Hold on. No, let me.
No, they're terrible. Patrick Mahomes.
He's just roster baiting.
Yeah,
Patrick Mahomes is one of them.
Yeah,
going off.
What is the quarterback?
Where were we at here? Just Lamar, Mahomes, Dak Prescott.
That's good. Okay, I think it was probably the running backs though. Maybe the running backs aren't good.
No, these ones weren't. No, Kenneth Walker and CMC.
Oh no!
Right.
But was it the wide receivers then? Something probably isn't working on that team.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't have any rookies I wanted to watch for training camp either.
Hold on, cool. After this, hold on.
Puka neighbors like Buka, Sutton, Trey Harris.
See, what are you gonna do? I don't know.
OTC score favorite Troy Franklin.
Yeah, OTC, OTC
Take
patriarch.
The L on Troy Franklin.
OTC patriarch Cortland Sutton.
All right, I'm done. Literally. Ooh, that was
Did you finish? Or did you finish all the way?
Go ahead, Trav. Tell us about some rookies.
You didn't even need to clean up. I'm impressed. Would hate to see what's under your desk.
Hey, join a dispersal. It'll be fun. Jax is in the league.
Yeah. I wonder why he says assets unseen for the dispersal. No information, just you want in.
Blur out.
Yeah.
You're gonna send me the screenshot, and when I put it up on screen, it's gonna be blurred out because it's NSFW.
Right.
Jax, I'm gonna get you to send me a selfie of you making an O face.
Inappropriate. There's probably plenty of
I'll just hit up your wife.
You can take of this
I'll hit up your wife.
She has zero.
Yeah.
There's some O'Connell statements being made.
O'Connell. Okay, so I wanted to actually touch on a hot take I have for the Jets. You mentioned Omar Cooper real quick. Yeah. Hot take that I have for the Jets is that Adonai Mitchell starts as like the X opposite of Garrett Wilson, because when they're in two wide sets, he can occupy that clear out role, that outside role, which I don't think Omar Cooper is going to be from the start of his NFL career. Adonai Mitchell has done a couple of good things here and there in the NFL.
Absolutely, yeah. Good call.
That's something that I'm watching for the Jets. You talked about Adam Randall for Baltimore, same team. Those wide receivers, Jacoby Lane and Elijah Surratt.
Yes.
Jax, you'll be happy to note that at my fishbowl draft in Vancouver, Jacob Sanderson, fellow fantasy analyst, was there. So I was kicking it with him, drafting most of the time, and was talking, and he leans Surratt as you did because of that versatility and the hope that he doesn't get pigeonholed into the X role. I don't think he necessarily gets pigeonholed into the X role, but I think that some of what they would want him to do from the slot is some of what Zay Flowers already does for that team, and maybe is a little bit more of a dynamic athlete while he does it. So I lean towards Jacoby Lane, but I think it's going to be interesting to see it from a scheme and a play calling perspective to see what Declan Doyle does for a team that previously rarely played in three wide receiver sets. Does drafting two wide receivers signify more of that on this team with that tight end depth dwindling, as you mentioned, with no likely there and Andrews getting older? So that's kind of what I'm curious to see, kind of branching off of those rookies, is how that offense is being run from a passing game perspective, because I think it could be a big year for Lamar Jackson, and some of these rookies could be the beneficiaries. So I think that's a good one to watch there. Another
maybe they could drag teams into lighter boxes with more wide receivers on the field. And now that I'm galaxy braining it a little bit, both Surratt and Jacoby are bigger. You know, they're and maybe they're. I have no clue if they're good blockers or not. They're not everybody can be a Deshaun Surratt
being good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
probably. Yeah. They can all be striblings, you know, but you get my drift that maybe they are a little bit, better, more sturdy blockers potentially, and they can play a little bit differently. I love it when Lamar plays wide open, right? When he's just sort of video game Lamar is like so dangerous. And if you've got Derrick Henry on the field against light boxes, and that could be a plan. You could be very right about that, because the idea that they're going to play multiple tight ends at the same time means that one of those other two rubbers that I just mentioned, Joquavius or Matthew fucking Hibner, are going to be on the field.
Rubbers. Oh, that's good.
The way I talk, you know?
Yeah, I love it. The last one and this one, we're talking.
As a matter of fact, hey, Trav, back east, we would call them rubbers.
Rubbers, yeah.
Yeah,
we fucking rubbers out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, totally.
No, but now I'm from California, so.
I can't believe we're finishing the show on this. This feels crazy, but because the ceiling is like best ball guy at best, you know what I mean? But I'm thinking there might be some opportunity for Chris Brazzell in Carolina. I think it's interesting to take note of. I got a couple like late fourth shares. We weren't really attacking this wide receiver position in this draft, but if you have him, you're wanting to maybe assess what you've got. And I think when you look at how it's shaping up, his real competition is Xavier Legette. We've got Coker locked in as kind of that slot guy, opposite of Tet, who's going to move around as that versatile kind of new age alpha, like we've been talking about, Jack. And I think when they need that X role filled, Xavier Legette is not suited for that, and he's been suited to not be that. And so
he's not that.
I think Chris Brazzell, with that speed, being able to take the top off of defenses, he's like 6'4", I think 6'5", and so he's got the height to be able to occupy that kind of space. And so I think this guy's going to get on the field. And I think, you know, with an injury, maybe he gets some opportunity where there is a spiked week or two, to maybe where you can, the team trusts him to get more targets in that situation, right? Where you always talk about it with running backs, Jacks, you know, if this guy goes down, you're probably going to get a couple of targets. Like maybe Brazzell turns into that wide receiver where if a Coker or a Tet misses a time, you kind of know Brazzell's going to get a couple of deep shots. And so to me, that's ROI on like a late fourth rookie draft pick. So just a situation that I'm kind of monitoring. Also, son of a former BC Lions legend, Chris Brazzell Sr. So there's a little bit of my heartstrings that root for Chris Brazzell Jr. You know,
that's where it came from.
Feels like a little bit of Torrey Horton, Darius Slayton type of player here, where, you know, we're probably never going to actually see it, but he'll probably be on the field. And I think you're right. There is a possibility that, as you say, that if he's on the field, then Tet were to get hurt, you know,
that's something.
They got to throw it to someone, because who the hell else do they have, you know, other than Coker, you know? But, you know, after that, there's not a ton of like established, target earners on that team at all, anywhere. And you're right, Legette is a gimmick player, period, end of story. He's not a real boy. Pinocchio over there, right? He's a Pinocchio wide receiver. Boy. I want to be a real boy. So yeah, he's not.
That is a good fucking Pinocchio, Chad.
Thank you so much.
I'm supposed to be the voice guy. That one was money.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Shatner. I really appreciate it. Or was it Jim Carrey? Whatever.
Oh man. Shit. There we go. We've had so many good times on this podcast.
Can't end the show on a better note than that.
And tonight was another good time. It was another good time. Kerty, I want to say a big thanks to you for joining us. You have been stepping up time and time again for OTC as a brand, and just for us to have you as a human in the fold has made it that much more fun, man. Like Jack said, like you're making your own little community in the fantasy space, and I remember how fun that was, and I'm excited to see you blossom, because I'm living a little bit vicariously, if I'm being completely honest. And so just everything that you bring, and the energy and the passion that you bring to the Discord, and the care that you bring for the people, thank you for that, and thanks for coming on, brother.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him in the pineapple hat. It's coming. Am I right?
I'll be on the first order click for the pineapple one too. Greatly appreciate those words. It's fun. Just good group of fellas, individuals. Everyone's there for the right reasons. Shout out to everyone in the Discord, keeping it real, keeping it genuine, being there, active, just having fun. That's what it's all about. So,
all the love, Kerty. You're a great dude.
Boom. Absolutely. Likewise. And yeah, just look for Kerty on the live streams. Jack's mentioned it. There's a show coming with Kerty and a couple other analysts you may have seen on these here airwaves. And so stay tuned for that. Just a couple of production details that we're working out, and then we're going to get that kicked off. And so OTC summer is happening, folks. We're getting into the fall, getting close to preseason, but let's enjoy the sunshine while it lasts. And thank you for tuning in. For Jax Falcone, for Kerty, I am Trav. We will see you next week. Peace.